everybody, it's Heather again. Sorry I haven't done a video for a little while. It's been rather hectic, and I've had some more bad news this last week and a bit. Anyway, today I was just wanting to talk a little bit about how fatigued we get with this horrible disease. And we forget, don't we? In my last video, I talked about how I was looking forward that I was going to be meeting up with some friends who we hadn't all been together for over 20 years. Excuse me as I put my seat up. I should have done that earlier. So we hadn't all been, and we're meeting to go for dinner. And we all had a lovely evening. It was way past my bedtime. I was driving, so I didn't have any alcohol, so at least that was my saving grace. But boy, did I suffer after it. I think it was about 3 days before my body felt like, okay, I gave you that one night off, but you're going to have to suffer for it now. And even this week, I had to go into town on Tuesday. We're now on Thursday. And I had to go in to drop off some forms. I haven't been in town literally for, I think since the first time we opened up after lockdown, when I met a friend for dinner. But I haven't been back into town since then. So literally it must be going on for 2 years. And for those that know, I live in the northeast of Scotland. The city that I live in used to be very prosperous due to the oil industry. And in fact, I worked in the oil industry. But now it has become really rather run down, and it was really sad to see. I didn't see much because I was adamant that I was going to one place, and I handed in my forms, and then I met a friend for a quick bite to eat. And then the only place that I went was Marks and Spencer's. And I was really disappointed to see how run down that was. It is tragic when you see that the city that you grew up in has been left to be in such disrepair. And there's very little of the... Aberdeen was never a good shopping place, I would say, compared to Glasgow and Edinburgh. And if you wanted something special, you would tend to go to those places. But in saying that, that's a good 2.5 hours away. So it is rather upsetting that for people here that there is nothing. And I can't help but thinking I'll look forward to next year when I get to move. Anyway, because I had to walk a bit, and I have mentioned before that my mobility is not good, that I find standing up for any length of time. For instance, all I've done today so far is get out of my bed, get in the shower, get dressed, dry my hair, and literally come downstairs. I fed my neighbour's cat who comes to visit me. So I gave the cat something. The cat skunk off somewhere. It's away for a sleep because it's a cold and miserable windy day here. So she was looking for somewhere that she can have a nice rest. So I think she's gone off to my bed. And literally all I did was I was standing making a cup of tea, and I felt that pain, that niggling pain that you get across your shoulders, or I do. So it's upper back, and my shoulders, and I know that at that point I have to sit down. It is so frustrating, isn't it, that you can't do anything. And as I said, all I did was I was in town for a couple of hours. You know, most of it I'd been sitting while I had my lunch, and walked back to the car. And you feel like an old woman, you know. When I know some of you might look and say, well, you are an old woman. But that's the thing. When we are mentally, you think of yourself as being the same age. Whereas physically, we know that we can't do that. So it's really frustrating. And I have to say that I have been really tired ever since. And when I came back on Tuesday, I was absolutely shattered. And I think there's always that thing, I don't know, why is it that when you do actually physically go to bed, that, you know, you're tired, but you can't sleep? There's that thing with rheumatoid, and I don't know what it is. And it's not just necessarily because you're in pain. You know, I have niggly joints that are achy and whatever. But it's that thing that it's like insomnia, that you just can't sleep. And it's often 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning before you're actually going to get asleep. And then you think, oh, I need to get up. You know, that you can't just lie in your bed all day, and you can't be sorry for yourself. And when I look in the mirror, I can see myself on this thing, I just think I look hellish and that I look tired. And that's just how I feel. It's one of the most draining diseases that there is, that you just have physically, you have no energy to do things. And it's really frustrating that you have to work yourself up to try and do something. And it must be really off-putting for people that are friends with us, because they don't know how we're going to be from day to day, whether we're physically going to be able. You know, there's, and I know things can be made, our lives can, I need to move my hot water bottle. We need to, things have been made easier for us, and the fact that we can use the internet if we need to do shopping and whatever. But there's nothing like, I'm a toucher. You know, if you go and you want to pick and choose your own fruit or something like that, so, or your own vegetables, you know, you don't want to, there's that thing, if somebody else is picking it. So it's really frustrating. And one of the things I've always loved to do is bake. And it is frustrating because it's the standing while you're baking. And I know that people say, oh, you could get one of that high stools and whatever, you know, to help you. But yes, when you're limited with space, it's where you put that high stool. And it's all kind of things that I'm going to weigh up when I get my next place to stay. It's been a frustrating time, and we're coming into, you know, here we are in November. November's never a good month for me, and it brings back lots and lots of memories. I lost my brother in 1988 in a road traffic accident, and he was killed on the 11th of November, so Remembrance Day is always difficult. And while we remember them, you know, that they're never going to be old and they never have the problems that we've got, it's still a sad time for so many people. And as I've said to you before, I always think rheumatoid arthritis is a bit like having a bereavement, that because you're grieving the things that you have lost, and the fact that you haven't got the opportunities. But it's also, I think, in Remembrance Day, we think about all those people that we have lost, and we do think about those people that gave their lives to this country. And I know that I have some followers in Australia. I know that when I researched my family tree, some of my earlier relatives emigrated, and they had taken part in the First World War and had been lost in the First World War fighting for the Australians. So I'm sorry that we're not more upbeat. I don't tend to like to do videos that are too down, because I think it's important that we do try and remain upbeat. For those people that are suffering, please, please, please don't suffer. Please talk to your GP or talk to your rheumatology team. I've always found mine very, very helpful. But it's important that we make sure that we're kept in the way that we need to be kept, and that if we need treatment, that we get the treatment. I would also say that we're coming into the winter season, so make sure that you get your flu jabs and your COVID jabs. I have been hearing that COVID's been on the rise again. I'm getting my jab finally on the 25th. So not too long now, and I do tend to keep away from people. Okay, on that note, I hope you're all doing well. Please give me your good news. All I seem to do is hear some really bad news just now, so I'm looking forward to 2023. But if you've got some good news, please share. And on that note, please give me a thumbs up and like, help my channel, subscribe and share my videos. And if you've got any questions about anything to do with rheumatology, if I can help you in any way or tell you what my experience is, I'm more than willing to do that. Until the next time, bye bye.